Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your PMP coach from Certify with Ease, helping you get PMP certified without reading a textbook, without taking a 35-hour Udemy course, or without attending those super expensive PMP boot camps. Okay, so a lot of people ask me, how do you get your students certified in less than a month's time? And how did you do it? How did you get certified in less than a month? Now, let me tell you a quick background of my story. I took the path that many students take. I studied for 35 hours, took a Udemy course, I took AR's course. I looked over the textbook as well. And then once I consumed all that knowledge, I started working on some problems. And I realized that, hey, I can't even answer a single problem. Now, that was a big issue because I spent so much time consuming all that information and reviewing and taking notes. And I realized that I couldn't answer a single question. So I did what a lot of engineers do, because that's my background. What we do is we look at our exams and we reverse engineer our exams to figure out what exactly are the topics, are the questions that we need to focus on to pass our exams. So in essence, what we do is we take an exam focused approach. And this is exactly what I preach to all my students. We need to take an exam focused approach. You are not going to learn project management by a course or through a course. You are going to learn project management by managing projects and people and resources. But in order to pass the project management exam, the PMP exam, you need to take an exam focused approach. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about the PMP mastery study plan made for 2024 because the exam changes a little bit from year to year. So this is for 2024. Okay, now what do you want to focus on first? You want to focus your first week on some fundamental theory. Very important. Why? Because if you don't know some fundamental basic theories, you're not going to be able to answer questions. You have to have some minimal understanding. Not everything. Don't study the entire book. Don't take a 35-hour course unless you need the credits and whatnot, but do not study everything. Okay? These are the main topics that you need to focus on right below my head over here. These are the main topics you need to focus on. Understand what agile is. Understand keywords that indicate that this is an agile project. Understand what the inverted triangle is. Agile manifesto principles. What the agile development cycle is. This is very, very important. So when it comes to, for example, an iteration, what happens during an iteration? Value prioritization. How do you prioritize certain features above others? Now, these are all going to sound like gibberish if you're just watching this for the first time, but it's very easy to understand once you start practicing and once you start learning. Kanban development. What is a Kanban? You're going to see that terminology a lot. Burn up, burn down, and velocity charts. Know how to analyze one. Common spaces. Fine. Predictive to agile. So if you want to transition from a predictive project to an agile project, what are the steps? What do you need to do? That's for agile project management. For traditional project management or waterfall, you want to focus on traditional project management, what it is in general, have a clear idea of what it is. Okay, so you have traditional, predictive, waterfall. For this exam, you can consider all of these things the same thing. Some keywords that tell you that it's a traditional project management that we're dealing with. The inverted triangle in the perspective of traditional project management as opposed to agile. And the PMP process chart, which I have removed. Why have I removed it? Because the PMP 2024 exam does not focus on the process charts. Do not study this. If you need to study it, save it till the end. I'm telling you this right now. You have all these Udemy courses focusing on it because these Udemy courses are pre-recorded. And once they're recorded, they don't adapt it. They don't adapt it as the years progress. I've left this blank. Do not study or leave it till the end. Okay? Do not break your head over this. It's going to take you a month to just memorize it. It's so tedious. It's so heavy. Do not do it. Just trust me. Okay? Just move on until we get to the end. All right? So that is the theory component. We are done the theory component. Now we talk about terminologies. There's some terminology that you have to know for the PMP exam. If you don't know them, you're not going to know what the question is even talking about, okay? So these are some terminology that you need to know. I'm not going to go through them. They're pretty easy. Just Google them and you'll figure out what they are, okay? But you have to know these. Some of them you have to memorize it, but some of them are pretty self-explanatory. So just take a quick screenshot of all these terminologies and you should be fine, okay? So what's going to happen is that on the exam, they'll never tell you what is a project artifact. You simply have to know what an artifact is when they mention it in a situation-based question, okay? So these are the terminologies that you need to know, okay? There's a couple of them. You take a screenshot, pause the video, and you should be fine, okay? So make sure you know these terminologies and make sure you master them. So just in case they come up on a situation-based question, you're able to answer it. Cool. Now, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so we are now done the theory and terminology. Now what? We need to focus on the mindset and hacks. And I emphasize this so much in my other videos. You can see PMP mindset. Why is mindset so important? Because a mindset, right, a rule, the principles that I talk about, which are these, basically these 18 principles. You can always take a screenshot of this as well. They will tell you the answer to the exam even before you read the exam question. Now, why is this so beneficial? Number one, because you get the answer right away. Number two, you save on so much time. One of the reasons people fail the exam is because of time. I just had another student who took the exam and they passed, and they told me that they just finished on the dot. Now, that's very dangerous. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to finish early. You want to have time to look over your work. Okay, so these principles will help you navigate through situation-based questions and will give you the answer, okay, or at least eliminate most answers that contradict our principles. Okay, that's our mindset. Now move on to some hacks. These are some common things that happen during the exam. For example, when the project manager, when the question mentions what should the PM do first or next, many of the answers can make sense, but look for the answer that respects principle number one. Okay. So after you're done the principles and the hacks, you want to move on to situation-based questions. Now, why situation-based questions? Because 80% of the exam is focused on situation-based questions. What is a situation-based question? When the question mentions, what should the PM do? What should the PM have done? Or what should the PM do first or next? You can see my other videos. I talk a lot about situation-based questions. Why? Because this is 80% of the exam. If you understand how to solve these types of questions and you master it, the certificate is yours because you've mastered 80% of the exam. So with these principles, with the fundamental theory, you want to work on as many exam questions as possible. I have some exam questions here, which obviously I'm not going to go through, but you want to work through as many exam problems as possible throughout these 1.5 weeks, basically, and just focus and practice and practice and practice as many as possible, okay? Now, once you're done that, we're going to move on to the remaining problems that the exam consists of. These are SPI, CPI analysis, the metrics, scheduled performance index, cost performance index. Pretty easy. Once you know how to analyze them, you're good to go. Okay? Burn down, burn up velocity charts. Know how to analyze one. You will most probably get one on the exam. Again, once you know how to analyze one, it will stick with you and you don't have to do anything else. You're good. Calculation. So you have earned value analysis when it comes to calculation. Very simple. You follow a couple of steps, you get the answer, and you're good to go. You don't have to break your head over these questions. You don't have to practice so many questions. Drag and drop questions. The most common topics for drag and drop, you'll have risk prioritization. That's number one. Number two, you'll have a project management approach. So either they'll tell you agile, they'll give you an agile situation, hybrid situation, or they'll give you a predictive situation and you have to match the situation with the appropriate approach. Okay, so agile will be matched with the agile situation, predictive with the predictive, and hybrid with the hybrid. Okay. I spoke to one of my students who recently took the exam and he told me that he had a situation where a drag and drop question where you have to match project roles. So they'll mention Scrum Master, and they'll mention project manager, product owner, and then you'll have the roles on the project roles on the other side of the question, and you have to drag basically um, the appropriate role to the appropriate position. Okay, so for example, product owner, let's say the situation says manages the backlog, will be in that category. All right. Once you have this done, okay. Now again, don't break your head over this. This is 80. This is not 80%. This is 20% of the exam. 80% situation based. But once you have this part done, you want to then focus as much as you can. Now, these days, these 4 days or 3.5 days are going to be brutal because you're going to practice on mock exams and you're going to pretend as though you are taking the actual exam. So you're not going to take breaks in between, meaning that you're not going to just leave your computer and then randomly go eat a slice of pizza, right? You are going to complete 60 questions in one shot and then take a 10-minute break because that's what you're going to have during the exam. After 10 minutes, you're going to come back, take 60 questions again, take a 10-minute break, and then finally take another 60 questions and then take a break. Okay? That is how we get certified at Certified with Ease. Very simple. This is an exam focused approach, right? Again, this is an exam focused approach. This is meant to help someone get certified and only certified. Okay, and I preach this to my students all the time. If you want to learn project management, start managing projects. But when it comes to passing the exam, pass the exam with ease and then move on with your life. Rule number 1, the more you prolong your goals, the more chances of failure. You might get lazy. You might lose motivation. Something else might come up. Make your goals as achievable as possible by making the timeline as short as possible. Okay? So this is an approach. Hope you guys like this video. I'm going to include a link down below if you want to discuss where you currently are in your study plans. If you want to check out this program that I've made, which is actually to your left over here, this entire program that I've made for my students, for you guys as well, then book an appointment below this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care and have a fantastic rest of the day.